Hello everyone, welcome to yet another episode of Level Up series. I am Mayanka. I'm the events coordinator at the Global Citizenship Foundation, and the Level Up series is here to support young professionals with skills and insights to thrive at workplace. And as part of Level Up series today, we have our expert Mr. Koda, and Mohammed is going to introduce our expert. Just before that, I would like you to know that if you're looking to receiving a certificate for this session, you need to attend the session via our streaming platform, which is AirMeet. Thank you, Mohammed. Please go ahead.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Mohamed El Isawi. I am a member of the team of Human Resources and Capital Management in Global Citizenship Foundation. With us here, our expert is Mr. Gurnit Joseph Buddha. He's a bilingual professional with over 14 years of diverse experience, skilled in leading innovative educational programs and fostering collaboration within multidisciplinary teams with a focus on youth and young adults. He excels in building positive relationships. And now I give you stage, Mr. Buddha.
Thank you, Mohammed. I think it's a great time to have with you. Uh, Today will be a time for us to talk. Just not talking. I want us this event to be more of a discussion. So we are going to talk about effective communication. I think feel free to ask anything anytime that if there is something that you want to know more. I'm happy to be with you. Thank you. So, Mohammed, I think we can go ahead with the presentation. Good. Thank you, Mohammed. Today, we are going to talk about building effective communication and talking about conflict resolution skills. I truly believe that effective communications lies at the heart of the successful relationship, whether sometimes personal or professional. It serves also as a cornerstone for building strong interpersonal connection, resolving conflict, and fostering understanding. So, in this event, we are going to dwell or soak how to improve or how to have effective communication with others and learn how to start uh, resolving some conflict that we have by acquiring some skills. So, next slide, please. Good. So, I would like us to think or to start with a question in mind. That question will be is what what's one things you wish people understand better about communication and conflict resolutions? That's for me. No, talking about those things. In the guide that we are going to follow, we delve into aspects of communication. We are going to talk about listening. We are going to talk about empathy. We are going also to talk about empathy. That's our aim in enhancing communication effectiveness, nurturing empathy, and managing conflict constructively. I wish by understanding and applying these principles, individuals can cultivate deeper connection, foster supportive environment, and navigate interpersonal dynamics with confidence and skills. Next slide, please. So we are going to follow 6 steps. First of all, we are going to talk about understanding the importance of active listening. Most of the time, people are just listening to just give answers, but we are going to talk about active listening skills. We are going to talk about developing empathy and emotional intelligence. We are going also to talk about learning effective or verbal or non-verbal communication techniques. We also are going to talk about managing resolving conflict constructively. And the fifth point will be building trust and rapport to relationship. Also, we are going to talk about practicing, how we can practice those things in our lives, and how that can help us to improve in our skills in conflict resolutions. Next slide, please. So, let's talk about the role of active listening in effective communication. We have people in life. Let's talk about how these things is. Sometimes people in life, when you are dealing with someone, you are just listening in having in mind how to reply. But active listening is is more of that. Active listening for me serve as a bedrock of effective communication. It allows individuals to fully engage with others, grasp the underlying emotions, and respond thoughtfully. So you are not just listening what is coming from the mouth, you are just trying to know the emotion behind those things coming out. By owning active listening skills, I think individuals can foster deeper connection, mitigate misunderstanding, and promote mutual understanding in the life that they are going. So that's something is which is very, very essential. Because for me, most of the time, active listening promote understanding. It's a way of building trust, rapport through listening, because you are not just listening something coming from the mouth. You are going to see. You are not listening with your eyes, with your ears, but you are also watching how that person is talking. So that will help you feel the emotion behind the talk. Also, we have the way that can build the rapport through relationship. Let me explain. Between a wife and a woman, no, a wife and a husband. Let's talk about that. Wife and husband. Sometimes women are complaining that, oh, I'm talking to you, you are not listening. She's not looking for your way or your ears just to pay attention. She wants all of your body, your eyes to be turned on her, so that she know that that things is important for you. So active listening is the way also to build a rapport to listening. It's also when you are dealing with conflict resolutions, by the way you listen to someone, you will be able to grasp the feeling, you will be able to grasp the emotion. When you are going to give the answer, your answer will be a full package of solving emotion, trying to help to correct the understanding or the misunderstanding that is happening. And the first things in conflict resolution is how you dwell with the emotion of the people, how you deal with that emotion. That's essential for me. So that's the role of active listening, not just by the ears, but also putting your body to listen someone, your eyes to look at, your heart to feel the emotion. That's part of active listening in the effective communication. Next slide, please, Mohammed. So, how it's also a way of enhancing communication through active listening skills. We have three skills involved in that. Three skills. The first skill is empathetic listening for better connection. You know, the way you listen to someone is also a first, like a first medicine that you can give to the pain of that person. If you listen that person without any interest, like you are listening a radio, or something that it's not, you are not going to get to have effective communication with that one. So for me, it's it's the first things, empathetic listening of better communication. Second, you need to is also good when you are when you are using effective communication skills like active listening. It's also reducing misunderstanding and miscommunication. I remember I have people in my life complaining about people are not listening to them when they are talking. I'm talking to my husband and he's not listening to me. I'm talking to my kids, but they are not listening to me. I just talk to them and I say, first of all, let me share with them some skills. That skill is first active listening. Your full body need to be engaged in listening someone. You may need at some point to stop doing some things. Sometimes parents, when the kids are talking to you, you are not concentrate. You are on your phone, you are doing something. That's not active listening. You are just using one way to listen. But the active listening, you use many ways. So you need to stop doing something. You may need also to stop paying attention to other things to be able to have the full understanding of what he's been saying. So the third skills is improving problem solving through active listening. So let's talk about those three. To summarize, active listening skills empower individuals to demonstrate genuine interest, validate others' perspective, and build trust by empowering techniques of paraphrasing, clarifying. When someone is talking to you, the way you need to show that you have very captured what he's saying, you need to try to paraphrase him, summarize the things that he has saying, try to clarify some things that he is saying so that you may be sure that you understand very well the needs. By doing those things, it's also help individuals who are doing it can create an open, supportive communication environment conducive to meaningful dialogue. Dialogue, most of time, is when we are seeing our society, it's one way. Sometimes two people can talk, but they are not dialoguing. They are just talking to one another. Dialogue is talking to someone who is understanding and listening carefully to you in in finding the good way to give you the appropriate answer. For me, that what is dialogue? That's good. So next slide, please. So practical tips for developing active listenings. Some practical aspect. Let's talk about eyes contact and non-verbal cues. You know, I was talking about that just earlier. You may need to keep the eyes contact when people is talking to you. That's the first. First is to keep the eyes contact. That's that's for me essential. You cannot listening to someone without keeping the eyes contact. listening to someone and doing something else. That's not good. We also have some non-verbal cues. Non-verbal cues, it's someone is talking to you, but you are on your phone. It means also you are not showing interest to what that person he's sharing with you. So there are some non-verbal things that people can do that can deny the way that they are paying attention to the others. So we need to correct that. So we need to maintain the eyes contact. We need also to stop non-verbal cues. In our primary schools, here in parts of Ivory Coast, the teachers is sure that the student is paying attention when his hand is on the table in the cross like this, maintaining the eyes contact for the teacher. It's meaning that okay, this student is listening. So that's first. Second, we need to avoid interruption and distractions. When people is talking to you, don't don't interrupt that people. Let that people go to the end of his speech. Interrupting someone is also a backdrop, is a way of not having a active listening skill. So you may need to let that person stop, go to the full of his speech. You need also to avoid distractions. So sometime when people is talking to you, you may need to turn off the TV or turn off any distraction around to be sure that you are paying attention to what is being said by that person. Third, I that's the third. You know, at the end of a speech of someone, at the end of people talking, you may need to ask for clarification question for better understanding. We also have that skills with some call centers. When you call them, they will listen to you carefully, and at the end of the process, they will ask for clarification, but also they add some summarizing of your needs. So seeking clarification through question demonstrate active engagement and genuine interest of understanding the speaker's perspective. So those three skills, those three ways to practice active listening will help us. And I believe that by developing active listening skills, it's require a lot of practice, but you need to do it intentionally, not something that you do occasionally. No, do it with intention. Through those techniques, such as maintaining eyes contacts, avoiding interruptions, and summarizes key points, individual can cultivate a habit of, attentive listening and elevate their communication proficiency. Next slide, please. Thanks. Developing empathy and emotional intelligence. Uh, you know, sometimes I used to say to people that the way we react also show how deeper we need to improve in our way to communicate. Empathy and emotional intelligence play a big role in fostering understanding, compassion, and connections. By developing self awareness, recognizing others' emotions, and practicing perspective taking, individuals can enhance their interpersonal relationship and navigate conflict, conflict with empathy and insight. Let's go. Let's talk about the first one: active listening and how these things is and nonverbal cues. Active listening skills involve giving full attention to the speakers. You know, empathy will be for you to be able to feel what your what the speakers is talking about. So by having active listenings and skills, you may be able to give your full attention to that. By giving that, you will feel it. You will feel it. You will see that when someone will start crying, if you pay attention fully to the way that he cries, to the way that he explained the pain, you will you will see that you will start feeling the same thing. Maybe you will start crying also. So that's empathy. It's help you understand others' perspective. It help you also feel what others are feeling. Recognizing emotion in others, you will need to feel it by the way they speak. You is you can two-person can say the same words or the same sentence. By the way they say it, if you have empathy, you may see that okay, this man have anger, this man is happy. So being able to identify understanding emotion and others is a key development emotion intelligence and um, and empathy. You need to put yourself at the place of others when you are listening, when you are paying attention to others. Now, the third is practicing perspective taking. I think developing the ability to put yourself in another person choose to understand their feeling and their viewpoint. Sometimes we always say that, oh, this person he's saying this in this he's always complaining. But for me, the first way will be, can you put yourself at the place of that person and try to understand what he's going through? Try to understand what he's feeling. I believe that if we people start doing it, it will reduce and increase our way to understand people, but also our ways to judge people. So we need to understand the other's perspective. Next slide. How to manage emotion effectively. And that's one of the things. Sometimes, as a manager, as a parent, as a friends, we deal with emotion of our friends, our colleagues, our people we know. But there are skills, there are ways to manage that. So that's key element. So managing emotions is not something easy, but it's something doable. Emotion regulation is crucial for maintaining construction communication and managing conflict. By learning to identify and manage their own emotion, individual can navigate challenge situation with empathy and resilience. Let's talk about the first point, emotion regulation techniques. Learning strategies to manage and express emotion constructively promote earlier communication and relationships. You know, what will happen? If someone is crying and that person come to you and you deliberately push that person out or aside, that's the first reaction. Could you imagine that person also, the same person coming to you and you hug that person? You see the difference. If you push that person out, oh, you are crying too much, go aside. Or please come to me, explain what is happening to you. They, that's the ways that that's the key point. That's the first point. How we react, how we manage emotions. Could you imagine someone talking to you loudly and you decide also to respond loudly? You see the starting of conflict. But what will happen if that person is talking to you loudly and you keep silence and let that people explain, talk, and at the end, you ask him, please, can you sit down so that we can talk? I have, I feel that you are not happy, and I need and things that we can sit and talk. Please have a seat. So the way we deal with emotions can also foster the increase the conflict or decrease the conflict. Self-awareness and self-reflection, understanding one own emotions and trigger allows for better control and management for emotional response. So that's also good to know. And conflict resolution through emotional understanding, that's what I was talking about. You need to you know, emotion respond to emotions. Emotion responds to emotion. So think about which emotion will be the good emotion to anger. Think about which emotion will be the good emotion for crying. Think about which emotion will deal with someone else's emotion. So that's emotional intelligence. For me, we need to put aside our own pride and start dealing with emotion intelligence. That will be, for me, the way to solve conflict and start the resolution process. Next slide. So let's talk about building. That's building strong interpersonal connections. So by we earlier talk about emotion empathy. So the way we utilize empathy uh, to communicate, show understanding and validation to others' emotions. So it's part of interpersonal skills. You know, you cannot be a, how can I say it? You cannot work in the health department without empathy. So it's part of your interpersonal skills, having empathy, and that's the first things to start communicate effectively. By having empathy, you will be able to establish trust and rapport between people. So the way I show my empathy to someone, it breaks the wall and establish a bridge between him and I, and that bridge, it's a bridge of trust. It creates connections. It help uh, develop trust. By having trust, that person will be able to open his heart and talk to me freely. Cultivating and supporting a supporting environment. Most of the time, I used to share that with teachers that you know students are coming in your class most of the time with a lot of things in their heads, a lot of experience in their life. The way we create environments, the environment that they will get by coming, will also show if you support them or not. Fostering an atmosphere where individual feel heard, understood, and value promoting emotional connection. So you may need to just look about those skills. How can I improve my skills to hurt? How can I improve my skills to understand someone, to value someone, to promote someone? It creates emotional connection. It creates emotional connection. So that's something that we need to look up, to look for, and try to improve when we are talking, when we are listening to people. That's how may I value my friend when he's talking to me? How can I value my wife or my husband when she's talking to me? But could you imagine your son talking to you and you say, "Oh, this thing not don't matter, don't worry about it." But no, he comes to you with a complaint. But by the way you react, he may say that, "Oh, my dad or my mom don't interest to me." So could you imagine that same person coming to you and you say, "Oh, that's what happened to you. Oh, how can I help you? How can help you feel it more as a burden?" You will that person, you will create the connection. And most of the challenge of that person, he will come to you because he feel that you are a great support when he have some time challenge. People are coming to you not just to um to get answer. They just come to you most of time to because they want to express themselves. They want people to listen to them, to pay attention to what they are feeling or what is happening in their hearts. That's all. Next slide, please. So let's talk about learning effective verbal and non-verbal communication techniques. Let's talk about those three things: active listening, non-verbal or verbal communication skills are effective. So, what is active resolution? What are some of the active resolution strategies? Sometimes we wait for the action to happen. We wait most of the time the situation to come to us. But let's deal with proactive approach such as negotiation and being able to have some compromise. That's sometimes we are too much in our egos. We just proud of ourselves. We are proud to and what we have to. So, but negotiation is the habit for me, is the skills not to gain. But negotiation is you win and the other person also win. So, what are the things that I may consider during the negotiation I need to left out? What are the things that I may need to left out in during the negotiation? So, negotiation is not just for me to win. Negotiation is being able also to sacrifice some of the things that you your heart is in. That's part of the negotiation. I believe that most of the conflicts remain because people keep some of the things for them. They don't want to let it out. Negotiation is win, you win, and the other person win. We need some time also to do some compromise. So compromise is for you is a other way for you to win. So you cannot win 100%, but you can win 60%, 70%. The conflict occur when you want to win 100% and the other person lose also 100%. You may need to sacrifice some things. That's the first. Body language and its role in communication. In one-to-one communication, the body language is very essential. The way you behave yourself during a communication is it's very, very important. So there are some ways that, like, some people, let me talk about some things. Some people can will wear glasses when they're taking pictures. That's a bad non-verbal communication and message that you are sending to someone. That's not good. So there are some non-verbal things that we don't need to do. I'm talking to you and you are writing to your phone, in your phone, on your phone. That's not good. I'm talking to you and you are watching a video on the TV. So these are some of the things that create conflict. So your facial expressions, your eyes contact, the tone of your voice, your personal space, your touch, your appearance, your gestures are things that is very important. You may be smiling, frowning, raising eyebrows, squinting your convey emotion like happiness, sadness, surprise, or anger. Those things count when you want to have a good communication skills. Your body language movement can indicate confidence, nervousness, or openness. For example, standing tall and making eye contact might significant confidence, while slouching and avoiding eye contact could suggest insecurity. So the way that we behave, the tone of our voice, inflection, pitch, volume of our voice, pace of speech can convey emotions such as enthusiasm, anger, or sarcasm. So these are some of the things important that we need to pay attention. Clarity and conciseness in verbal com- communication, that is also special. Effective verbal communication requires clear and concise expressions. You don't need to be confused in your ideas. No, you need to express your ideas very clearly and in a concise way. So you don't need to talk too much to express a clarity of your ideas. You can do it uh, briefly, with conciseness and with clarity. Next slide, please. So, you know, active resolution skills. There are some key points. Active conflict, proactive approach, such as negotiation, like I said before. understanding and managing emotion in the conflict, and also things that we may need to consider in effective communication as tool for conflict resolution. But let's have by here. While I'm speaking, during we have already spent 40 minutes. Is there some question that's coming in your mind you may need to answer? You just need to raise your hand, and we will let you come on stage. Is there any question or anything that you may have as a question? Okay, that's good. So let's continue. Next slide, please. So, how applying communication techniques is, let's apply it in the real scenario. Um, you know, adapting communication still to different personalities. You know, the way you learn communication to talk with your son or your daughters will not be the same when you are talking to your wife, when you are talking to your colleagues, when you are talking to your parents. So you may need to be flexible. Flexibility in communication style can lead to better interaction with diverse personality and perspective. So don't be like, I watch one of the attorney that I know. The way he talked to his client is the same way that he talked to his wife, is the same way that he talked to to his children. There is nothing different. You need to be able to adapt the way that you communicate with the people. Sometimes, as a teacher or as a lecturer, the way you talk to your students, you think that is the same way that you may need to talk to your parents or to your wife or to your children. Your wife is not your student in class. Your son is not your student. So the way that you will interact with them, you need to be able to have some flexibility. Conflict resolution in professional environment. So that in the professional environment, there are some time processes, but addressing conflict professionally can foster a positive work environment and enhance productivity. You know, in some professional environment, we need to set a procedure of solving conflict. That procedure need to be clear. That procedure need to be well known by every workers, and that procedure need to be followed. If there is any conflict between workers in the professional environment, I believe that we need to be sucked. We need to be dwell in the procedure that we have already agreed. I don't want to just share with, I don't want to be prescriptive in the way that we can do it, but every professional environment needs to create the way they want to solve their conflict, the way they want to resolve their conflict, and they want to all agree that is the process, not any other kind of process. Let's go to you utilize how we utilize nonverbal cues in communication. So awareness of nonverbal cues can enhance the effectiveness of communication. So sometimes in the professional environment, I most of the time believe that we have some skills as a workers, but interpersonal skills are something that we need to learn. And part of interpersonal skills, I believe that we need to learn how to use the nonverbal cues in communication. It's very essential because sometimes the even your appearance, clothing, grooming, accessory can provide cues about personality, status, cultural affiliation, or professionalism. So those things are very essentials. The touch, how you hug, handshakes, pat on the back, uh, or other form of physical contact can express affection, support, and reassurance. So there are some ways. I believe those cues need to be learned as a manager, as a new workers, as a new graduate, as a young people. My appearance can show my cultural affiliation or my professionalisms in some of the things. So it's very essential that we learn those cues in communication. We can be good workers, good and skilled performance, everything. But the message that we send through the nonverbal cues can put us aside of growing in our environment. So we need to pay attention of those things. Next slide, please. So part of what I was saying, we need to be sure that we cannot have a life without conflict. If you want to have a life without conflict, maybe sorry, but maybe you are not part of this life. You are no more part of this life. Conflict is a normal part of life, but it doesn't have to be destructive. So we have a lot of conflict in our countries, generally in the world. Praying to those conflict to be out, I'm not sure if that can be. But our conflict will not turn to the way that it's destructive. We need to use some key strategies, key points that can help us. So let's share some steps to manage and resolve conflict constructively. Next slide. Next, yes, okay. First, we need to focus on the issue. Sometimes we dwell with personal attack. Ye- Yesterday, I was watching in one of the WhatsApp platform I am in. Conflict starts when we are not focused on the issue, but we try to some personal attack by and name calling. Oh, this person, by spelling his name, this person have done this and this. We need to first things is don't talk about the person, talk about the issue. What happened? Not who occurred it, but what happened. We lost our car. That's the issue. Now, how these things happen? So no, not oh, Joseph lost our car. That's a personal attack. We lost the car. That's the issue. But Joseph lost the car. That's another version. So focus on the issue. That's first. Now try to know how by paying attention to what other person is saying. both verbally and non verbally. Try to see things from their perspective. Joseph will now come to explain, oh, I parked the car here, and during my ways to cross the road, I was not able to find the keys. I was buying things and I saw the car moving and going. Someone took the car. Joseph is now explaining how those things happen. Joseph will now explain how those situations occur. You will, when Joseph is talking, you may need now to pay attention to what he's saying, how he behaved. But if some sign shows that Joseph is very have a pain. So some sign also will show that Joseph don't care, don't care of what is happening. He's not uh he he's not showing interest to what is happening. So uh you need also to think about the I statement. Express our feeling in using I statement for us. You know, sometimes we generalize our reaction. When we are reacting in communication, our reaction is not a prescription for everyone. We need to say, I feel frustrated when you do it to us. But could you imagine that if you said, we are all frustrated because you do this? No, don't generalize your opinion. The I statement will help maybe someone to solve or to help you. Don't generalize the way that we react. That's so essential. So every kind of conflict is essential to solve, but be sure that there is a way to solve it. Don't focus on the person. Sometimes we have people relationship conflict. We have performance conflict. We have crisis in our countries. Are we focusing on the issue, or we are focusing on the person among participating in that conflict? What is the issue? Are we listening both of the parties, and are we expressing ourselves by using the I statement, not instead of generalizing our ideas? So we have a lot of conflict in the world. We cannot list them, but we have personal conflict. Sometimes people have conflict with their own gender. People have conflict with their parents. People have conflict with their spouses. People have conflict with their bosses. People have conflict with their government. People have conflict with religions. We have a lot of conflict in the world, but we need to know that uh, we can have it, but we don't have to deal it with violence. That's one key. Next slide, please. That's the first part, was the communication aspect in solving conflict. Let's talk about how we can find a common ground. I was saying before that most of the time we keep in our own proud. We always want people to see our personal view. We don't want to understand the others. First thing, finding common ground, identifying the root cause, get beneath the surface of the conflict to understand the real issue. Sometimes, it's like someone getting hurt, and he has been hurted by uh, by his friends. You know, that's the way that you talk to him, the way that he will describe his pain may not be the same you feel, because you have not get inside. You just stay on the surface. So at this side, let's focus on the goal. So identifying the root cause and focus on the goal. Now, I don't know if there are someone here who may need, who may share with us how they have come to resolve one of the past conflict that they had in their life. If they can uh, respond in the chat, or they can, you can raise your hand. You will come on stage to explain how you have been able to solve some of the conflict in their life. So, do is there someone want to share some of his experience? Feel free to share, or feel free to raise your hand. You will come on stage to do it. Wonderful. We have one question: is physical contact cues always necessary for effective communication? That's good. From Pakistan. First of all, I will say yes. I will say yes. Uh, in any kind of communication, the way your physical aspect is is essential. So physical cues is necessary. It's always necessary for effective communication. So the way that you know, could you imagine the first day that you will meet your boss? He learned from your resume that you are qualified and excellent. But the day that he comes to you, to your office, the way you were dressed show that you are not professional. So because people need to know that we are both. We are not just one side. We are a person. We have personal skills that is known, that people can see. People can learn from your resume, from your performance. But we need also to show some interpersonal skills That is more of sending out message of to people on who you are. People can say what you can do, but who you are is they come to know it by non-verbal cues. So thank you for your question. It's always essential. So let's come back to finding common ground. I'm hearing a feedback. I don't know if someone want to speak. Good. So I was talking about two last skills, being able to identify the root cause and being able to focus on the goal. That's essential. So focusing on the people, not the goal, will not solve the issue. What is the goal? Let's focus on the goal. Instead of getting stuck or position, see if you can find common ground in terms of what you both can achieve. I was talking about that earlier, about being able to do some compromises. Thank you. Next slide, please. You know, after meeting for conflict resolution party, you need to craft the solution together, not just one party. One party will go and craft the solution and come back. Most of the conflict remain because both party were not together when those solution was crafted. So we need to brainstorm together. We need to learn the skills of brainstorming. Brainstorming is not just sharing. Work together to come up with potential solution that address anyone's needs. I was talking about win to win. Be open to creative approach. Also, compromise. Be willing to bend a little of others to reach a solution that works for everyone. That's essential. Third one, focus on the future. What will be the next step? What will happen next if that conflict is out? The goal is to move forward, not to remain in the past. Most of the I believe interpersonal conflicts remain because people suck on the past. You did it to me, you did that to me, you did that to me. But let's go forward. Let's move forward. You know, you will gain more by having the future in mind at the beginning. The future is more brilliant than the past. So let's focus on the future. Next slide. So we have some additional tips, like remaining calm, choose the right time and place to talk, and seek help. Most of the time we believe that we are our own god. No, we need uh, being calm, choose the right time and place. But the third one is to seek help from others. If you cannot be your own god, someone have more experience than you, and you can learn from others experience. If you are struggling to resolve a conflict on your own, consider seeking help from a mediator or a therapist. Next slide. So this is the Thomas Killman model of conflict resolution. Is describe 5 strategies. You can learn more about it, but by two, it's five but two axes. So we have the first one: accommodating, collaborating, competing, avoiding. But the middle, if you see, the middle is compromising. The middle is, at the end, you need to have a compromise. Every party need to agree with one thing, which is a compromise. You need to collaborate together. You need to avoid some of the things like remaining in the past, those things are very essential. So this is Thomas Kilman models of conflict resolutions, and you can learn more about it if you do some research on it. That's a wonderful thing. Next slide. So that's the descriptions of Kilsman uh, resolution conflict strategies. The first, which is accommodating style, is commonly seen when people want to be assertive and cooperative. Not every conflict will need to be a war. So we need to be able to accommodate, to collaborate. Next, avoiding conflict strategy. That's some example have been given. A conflict you might avoid in the workplace is when someone drinks and the last at the water from the water cooler without replacing the water container. If it's one time issue, leave it be. If it's like not worth and the 2 minute discussion in all hands meeting, no. So there are not there are not any situation need to be as a conflict, no. There are some issues that can be solved easily. You can let it be and go with it. Okay, so next slide. Collaborating is also part of the Kilsman strategies, but it's very essential to know more about this strategy. So collaborating, we have an example. A conflict you might collaborate on at work is a process between two separate teams. Perhaps the sales team need to be hands-off customers to the support teams once the deal is closed. That's something that can be done, but customers aren't being contacted after the end of. The two teams may collaborate to streamline the workflow. The sell the sell team may stagger the deal they closed so that support can keep up with demands. It's a win-win both parties. Like I was saying, it's win-win, not someone just doing that. Thank you. Next slide. Next slide. Competing is the fourth one. You might see a competing conflict management strategy used when negotiating deals. So that occur when we are doing negotiations. A competing strategy works because it's highly unlikely that the lawyer will cross paths with the opposition party again. So there is no relationship to maintain or salvage later. So there are some agreement that may be done to solve definitely an issue. Next one, compromising. We talked about it earlier. It's very essential. Next slide, please. So we reflection on the learning. We have shared about several things. Take a moment to reflect, just reflect off on what we have been able to learn together. Think about it, and we will have a opening discussion very soon. But it's very essential to employ active listening skills and in resolutions conflict. Next slide. So this is the review. We have been able to talk about. We talk about key takeaways. That these are elements that we have been able to talk about, and recall the key takeaways from each models. Application in practice. Think about how you can apply that. Continue the improvement. You may need to improve. Continue to remember that building effective communication and conflict resolution skills, and support and resource. You are not alone when you are dealing with conflict. Be sure that you are not alone. As I was saying, you are not your own god. Someone else can help you, and we have some we can have some resource and everything's more by doing our personal search. Commitment to grow. Don't stay like we are. Let us improve. Let us decide to be better than we are now. If there is something that is holding us back, let's improve in the way that we communicate. Next slide. So as we conclude, this is my conclusion. I encourage you to carry the lesson learned forward with enthusiasm and determination. Together, let's strive to foster more meaningful connection, navigate conflict with grace and empathy, and create environment where communication thrives. So, thank you for your participation, engagement, and commitment to personal and professional development. I wish you continued success in your journey in to building effective communication and resolution skills. Thank you to all.
Um, Thank you, Mr. Poda. We would like to move to question and answer sessions. We have some questions from the very engaged audience we have today, and we would request you answer those. Okay, so is asking, how can I recognize and manage my own emotions during difficult conversations or conflicts?
Good. Thank you. How can I recognize and manage? Can you share that question again? Okay, good. Recognize and manage my own emotion during difficult conversation and conflict. First of all, I would like to just, my first answer will be, let other people tell that to you. When you are communicating, you need to let someone else, please, can you share with me how I am reacting when I'm talking? Let other people tell that to you. You cannot be your own mirror. So let someone else have a close friend, and let that friend observe you for a while when you are talking, when you are communicating, and that friend can report that to you. Oh, when you are talking, you used to do this, that, and you will see how to improve that. Thank you.
Okay, so here is another question. I think a very common incident with all of us. How do you deal with people who resort to silent treatment when there's a conflict rather than voicing out their opinions?
Yes, people believe that because I will not talk, the conflict will solve by himself. Yes, the conflict, you will not hear about the conflict for a time, but there still be a conflict, and that conflict are more destructive than the one that we are talking about. So, for those who are dealing with silence, I just want to share with them, work in yourself to be able to share, because silence communication leads to destructive behavior. So it's very essential that you will be able to voice this out. Talk about your feeling. Talk about what you are feeling inside. You may not, like I was saying, you are not your own God. You are not your own doctor. By voicing out is not that you are talking too much. No, you are expressing a feeling. It's like going to see a doctor and say, "Okay, doctor, I'm sick," and the doctor say, "What kind of sickness?" And you want the doctor to imagine that your head, your stomach, some part of you is paining you. No, we may need to solve it, to sort it out, because most of the conflict coming to violent aspect have been for a long time silence, silent. We need to talk. Talking is a first medicine for me to solve conflict.
Okay, so this is the last question for the day. Huria is asking, I usually try to avoid conflicts, but I generally use sorry. Is that a good way, like to avoid conflicts by just saying sorry?
Yes, that's the beginning. Sorry, it's the beginning, but you need to say sorry for what. You need to explain why you are sorry. So you need to say that I'm sorry because I did that to you. Sorry about it. That's very clear. But the first, it's always good to say sorry, but you need to add uh, the source of that sorry.
Okay, so we have a lot many questions today. Everyone wants to know how to resolve conflicts. There's one more question. What are some common mistakes or pitfalls to avoid while managing conflicts?
Okay, like I was saying, one of the common mistake is when we don't when we are trying to just stay at the surface. We need to know the roots of that conflict. That's where listening carefully both party is essentials. It's very essential. So we don't just need to listen to someone come to explain. You can first receive the explanation, but you need to do some investigation to know the root cause. And after that, you will start your conflict resolution process. So don't stay on the surface. Go to touch the neck, the roots, and practice active listening by trying to know more behind the speakers.
Okay, so we have Aryan Salman. He is the president of the Global Citizenship Foundation, and he has some words to share with all of us. Okay, so he might have some technical glitch. In the meanwhile, Dr. Koda, we had some polls. We are asked our attendees for the polls, and these are the poll results. So we asked them what was their current status in life, and most of the people. Okay, so just give me 1 minute. Need to share this results. Okay, so this is the questions related to the session. Um, we asked the attendees if they know or apply any of the methods of conflict resolution in their daily lives, and then we have 16 people voting. Like 50% of people say that they know of these conflict resolution skills, and they have helped them resolve conflicts effectively, while there are 37% people who are saying that they are learning these skills um, today, and then there are some who say like it's a new thing to them and they want to learn more about it. So that like people are benefiting from the sessions, learning more about conflict resolutions, and that way we can help people have better communication. And then there was one more poll which said, do you think you can identify and manage your emotions effectively? So out of 39 people, more than 50%, they say that yes, they are able to manage and identify their emotions effectively. However, there are few people who say they cannot manage or nor identify their emotions. So I think, and I hope that this session was beneficial for you. We could help you identify your, give you techniques to identify your emotions. Okay. Now we have some people who would like to come to stage. Um, I think Emmanuel, you would like to share with us. You would please could you unmute and turn your camera.
Okay. Hello. Sorry, not feeling too strong. Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me?
We
Hello,
can hear
brother.
you,
Can you hear
please.
me?
We can hear, yes.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, I think there is some disruption there. Abdullahi, you can share with us what you want to say.
Yes, hello everyone. Abdullah Jumaya speaking.
Yes, we can hear you. You can go ahead, please.
Okay, my question was the issue on a personal, physical touch. I'm sorry, physical touch. What I was asking is, I don't believe that physical touch is necessary when you're communicating because there's an issue about personal boundaries. You see, personal boundaries is very important in communication, so you have to be very conscious of that. And I think what you meant was personal touch. I mean, being original. When you're giving your message, you're original. You maintain yourself. You do not try to use somebody else's style of communicating or somebody else's word. But in terms of physical touch, it is very sensitive, especially in our, let's say, in this century, 21st century, the issues with the sexual harassment and all that. It's very important for you to consider that. Thank you.
That's thank you. I think that's very essential. When I was talking about touch, it's the way you, like I was saying, sometimes it's very essential that the way you touch can show to others that how you are, how you are. So hugs, handshakes, pats on the backs, the way that you express that to people in different culture cannot be understood in the same way. So that's very, 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 very important. Very important. Thank you.
Okay, we have Aryan on stage. Aryan, would you like to say something, please?
Audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Am I visible? Okay. Um, First of all, Mr. Poda, thank you so much for this amazing session. My question to you is about workplaces. What I want to understand is when you're dealing with, say, a colleague and you have a conflict, and this conflict has been quite persistent, what are the things that you should do before you end up talking to them? Because I'm assuming that if there's a conflict and we've had it for a while, it might make things ugly for us if we take it up. That might be one of the co-concerns of some people. So how would you what would you suggest that we do to enable a solid conversation?
Thank you. I think to arrive to the point to not talking to someone, that means you are no more colleagues. So the first things is to, like I was saying, to establish the procedure. If after every step of that procedure you have not been able to come to have a common ground, for me, uh, you don't have to deal again, because it's a professional environment with a goal. I believe that if one of the party is not agreed to achieve the goal, that will remain a perpetual conflict. So that will end up the relations. So the first things is the goal. Are we all agree with the goal? When if we agree with the goal, what are some sacrifices we are able to do in order to achieve that goal? So both need to do some sacrifices. If one of the parties not agree, you will end up that relation. That you cannot do something about that.
That is, am I audible? Yeah, I think that's a very solid, what do you call, solution, Mr. Porter. At GCF, like at the foundation, things that we have done, I think what you say validates that. One is we have an open door policy, which means that anybody can schedule a one-on-one with anyone within the organization. And the second idea is to have capacity building interventions around feedback as well as nonviolent communication in the workplace. So thank you so much for sharing that one. And I yield the floor back to you. Thank you.
Okay, um, I think this is the wrap. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Koda, for the insightful session. We can all understand that conflicts are the part of lives, and we sure can use the skills to communicate properly and resolve conflicts effectively. Thank you, all the attendees, for being very active and engaged. We intend to keep bringing many more level up sessions for you. Also, we need your help to make these sessions better every time. So please fill the feedback form you will receive shortly after the session.
And I want to add something, please. And for those people that they are asking for slides, you can contact Mr. Puda on LinkedIn, or maybe you can just go to our LinkedIn profile for GCF, for Global Citizenship Foundation on LinkedIn. And if you want to watch the replay of this interesting session, you can watch the replay on our YouTube channel. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you, Mr. Puda, for this amazing session.
Am I audible? Yes.
Yes.
All right. So thank you so much, everybody. Really, really appreciate your effort and energy in being here with us. Just two quick questions for all of you. Like, while you're filling your feedback forms, if you have suggestions for certain skills that you need to enable you to thrive at workplace, we'd be very, very happy to include them as we move forward. That's one area that we want to know more from you. And the second idea that we have is, in case you want to go back and reflect on these sessions, you can look at our YouTube video and perhaps you can share that. So that would be very helpful. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to having you in the future. All right. So there we go.